locked in.
I am focused. I am locked in. I'm gonna enjoy this. This is my podcast anyway. I'll enter it with joy with Thanksgiving.
Hallelujah.
Here we go. Episode 2. It's the second run. But so we're starting. We're picking up from where we left off in episode 1. I love this look of you, like looking so.
Thanks, dear.
We're picking up from Spitting Up Blood on
This will be
Black
episode
Friday.
1, part 2.
Episode 1, part 2.
Or 2.
It's still a second episode.
It's your party.
It's your thing.
Episode 2, episode 15.
You know what I'm saying? Second verse, same as the first.
We back at it.
We're back at it. So we're picking up from where I woke up
Coughing up
Black
blood.
Friday morning, coughing up blood, giant globs of blood. We don't do that. If you cough up blood again, we got to go to the ER. Guess what? We ended up in the ER. I coughed up that giant loogie. So
and you had a little trepidation because remember on the way to the hospital, I was like, let's go to Starbucks first.
We did have to go to Starbucks first. Okay. Backstory. The reason I had trepidation on going to the ER is because my paternal grandfather died on Thanksgiving the first time. And then he woke up in the middle of the night the day after Thanksgiving and had a stroke and passed away fully. There have been early deaths on my dad's side of the family. So it brought, I won't say it brought it full circle, but there are thoughts in your mind like my grandfather passed away in much the same manner.
And then it was
Thanksgiving
somebody else,
morning.
like an uncle or something.
Yeah, I don't think he died on Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
He definitely passed away when he was like in his 30s, maybe
Yeah,
40s.
I just remember because I was like, let's go to the hospital. And you just, it wasn't like you said, no, don't go to the hospital. You were just kind of anxious. And then you said something to the fact, and I was like, well, you know what?
Let's go get some
We don't have
coffee.
to race to the hospital. They're going to still be there. We're already going
They're gonna be there.
Somebody's watching the kids. We're good. Let's go get some
Starbucks.
tea. And then we went and got
Did I get a tea or get a fresh? It doesn't matter.
You definitely got a hot tea because I thought that was the best thing to drink.
Medicine ball.
I don't know if it was a medicine ball, but it was probably a
honey citrus mint with the four all of it.
You know, that's too much.
So, it is.
So anyway, we got a tea, and then we went to the hospital.
So then we went to
the hospital. So that we could kind of relax our nerves a little bit about going.
This is why you have a helpmeet to help you.
So you're a little anxious, and I was like, let's just chill. And then we went to the hospital because I had no kind of, even though blood was coughing up, you were coughing up blood, I was not anxious about going to the ER at all. I was just like, whatever it is going to be good. You know what I'm saying? Because God loves me.
He loves us.
He loves us.
Amen.
I'm his favorite.
Amen.
So
we are all his favorite.
It's going to be good.
Amen. Fortunately, though, we were 4 minutes from a brand new hospital, so we get there, and we did time it. And from the time we parked to actually getting back to seeing somebody was 4 minutes, which was cool.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any like waiting in the ER.
And it was, Black Friday, Day of Thanksgiving. Nobody really wanted.
Nobody was in the hospital at that time.
People try
with their family. People try to push it off. I'll go get seen on Monday. They try to do all that type of stuff.
Martha, what you think is going on with?
It's low key funny, but not funny. My grandmother and her sister were both nurses. That's what happened. Thanksgiving. That's what I'm saying. Thanksgiving Day when all that stuff happened with him, she was like, "You're coming back. Whoop, come back." And then he was in the hospital. And rest in peace, Nathaniel Joseph. Love you. So 4 minutes. And I thought it was going to be something like bronchitis is what I really thought. They're going to be like, oh, you're coughing because et cetera, and give you a little Z-Pack or whatever and kick you loose. It was not that. I remember the doctor that came back in, it was like, I don't know why. People just have thoughts about being in the hospital. I thought, okay, when we get in the ER, you can be sitting back here forever. And by the time they get around to you, I felt like that dude came back so quick. It was like they took the x-ray, and I felt like it was a couple minutes. He came back in, and he was like, we're admitting you immediately. So they got the TV screen, they showed me my lungs. I have a pulmonary embolism, so I have blood clots spread all throughout my lungs. And they showed me the pictures of the x-ray on the TV screen. You see these striations, these little white dots all through my lungs. It looks like a spider web of dots connected by little white lines and stuff. And he's like, these blood clots are very serious. It's deadly. It could have been fatal. And now I know really how close and how fatal it is.
Because at that point, when you say PE or pulmonary embolism, we have no context.
It's just fancy medicine words.
Just like, okay, his lungs are a little blocked.
And then you think blood clots, you don't really think.
Yeah.
You don't really know. So they admit me immediately. And now I have to go through all these CT scans and all this other stuff, which was another level pain and discomfort that I can't fully describe. I can only say that it came to a point where I had that Denzel and Glory tear going down my face because I was trying to be tough, and I was like, no more CT scan. Yeah. I had gotten to the point.
With the artifice.
I'm sure it was. Because I had gotten to the point before I got into the hospital where it was extreme discomfort for me laying flat. Like I could not lay flat on my back for long stretches of time, not even moderate stretches of time. But when they had me doing the CT scans, I had to lay flat.
And you know what? I think I remember you asking about, is there any type of pain medication or something? Like, can you give me anything? Or we were asking, like, and then they would keep asking, like, what, and you have a bit of a challenge with this too. Like, they'll ask you, like, what's your pain level? And you might not say fully, you might say whatever.
Say 6 when it should be 9 or something like that.
Right. And you might not give them the full context of how much pain you were in. And then once they did it a couple of times or whatever, and you were like, no more. Like, y'all gonna have to figure out another way and put me on some type of pain management before you try to come, because they were trying to run so many tests. Because I'm sure the doctor probably ordered so many tests. Because they didn't know. They just kept, okay, we gotta take you back to this test. We gotta take you back to this test. And then they had to keep running tests. And then you gotta sit back in the chair.
I had 3 CT scans that day.
Yeah, and so after the third one, you were like, "I bet you won't," and I was like,
"I wasn't. I bet you won't." I was like, "Please don't."
No, you was like the artifice. You were like, "No more." And I was like, "Okay, so he's done for today. He's not doing it anymore."
He's taking all that you can stand. He can't stand no more.
That's all he's doing.
The pain. In retrospect, what's your pain level out of 10? 12.
Right.
To 12.
But sometimes if you say that, it's
they also
it's the hospital. Because sometimes people don't believe that either because they're like, oh, they're exaggerating, whatever.
Is it really a 12?
Right.
Yes, it's actually a 12.
Okay, so they run the test.
Obviously, they find the PE, and also while they're in there, they're also biopsying my neck as well. I think it was this side. Which side? I had a, let me not say a growth, but it was like a bump that was growing on under my skin.
Yeah, it was kind of like a line.
Like a little.
It was like raised.
It was like a little raised section. So while I was there, they were also going to end up biopsying that. So, they did all the CT scans. They obviously admitted me. So now they're trying to figure out what medication I'm going to be on. I can't even remember all the stuff they did. I basically remember the CT scans, and I remember trying to figure out the pain management. They put me on one initial pain reliever, and it was not enough. And I was like, I need more. So they put me on another one. And then I had to like basically bounce between the two, and that was like an experience. So one would be wearing off, and they'd come give me the other one. It's like, we can give you this one every 4 hours. We can give you this one every 6 hours, and they were figuring out how to manage it so that my pain level would go. That took a couple days. It was not cool.
What? I just realized, even in thinking about it in this moment, because it was a holiday weekend and this was a Friday, we went in and then they kept you because they were 5 days. Oh, we have to, because it after this experience, we also understand what happens at the weekend on hospitals because we took several trips to the hospital in the next few months. But it was the weekend, and the weekend in the hospital is different from the weekday in the hospital.
Skeleton crew.
And doctors in the hospital are different from the doctors. I mean, weekend in it. So anyway, they kept you, but it was kind of like, I don't want to say they were stalling, but it was like, we have to get the results back to this and that. But they could see that something was going.
Well, they needed the results and stuff from the CT scan.
Trying to make you wait, and we were like, okay, well.
And also, what happened was the biopsy from my neck. He took it, and I think something about the hospital. He had to send it somewhere else.
But I'm saying it was because it was a weekend. Because I feel like you would have got it inside of like 24, 48 hours. Not 5 days.
Well, I forget. It was. I do remember. I can't remember the reason, but something happened and it was delayed for a couple of days because I went in on Friday. I didn't get out to the following. What was it? Tuesday, Wednesday. So the oncologist guy that was there, he wanted to wait to get the results. And so it was like they had finally figured out, okay, we're gonna put you on. And also they kept me a couple of days because they were starting me on a blood thinner. Yeah. So they were like, okay, we got to start you on this blood thinner, but we need you to be in here a couple of days to see how your body manages with it.
And blood thinners, you got to have it a certain
before we let you go. And then you got to figure out whatever your number is. So they had to wait a couple of days for the blood thinner to see how my body reacted to the blood thinner. pin in that conversation. Mm-hmm. And then also the biopsy of the lump on my neck, he wanted to wait to get the results back fully instead of me coming to meet him at his office.
Right.
So they would, because it was supposed to be, like you said, 24, 48 hours, but it got delayed for some reason. So then he got them back, I think it was like Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah, it was Tuesday.
I just remember getting a little bit anxious because my family, we had been planning this large vacation.
The family vacation.
And it was 1 week away from when this incident happened. So
it was like the next week. It was Friday, and then, yep, you're right.
I'm saying this happened on the Friday of Black Friday. The following Friday was December 3rd, and that was when everyone was arriving, and we were supposed to check into the big house, the big Airbnb that everybody's coming.
It was Wednesday. I remember it was Wednesday.
So then, by the time we got back here, and it's okay. Now we Tuesday. We went in on Friday. Y'all still not letting them loose. Okay, now we on Wednesday, and I'm like, okay, they need to hurry this up because everybody's coming. And then we can't
Y'all still be my plan.
Only because we had been planning the entire year, and my whole family had not yet ever all
grandparents, 3 siblings, like all their children. I think it's like
no one we had not come all together.
Everybody like from Michigan, Dominican, Florida. We got Disney tickets. We got a whole house that can like sleep 30. We got grandparents, 4 or 5 couples, like 10 to 15 grandchildren. It's a lot, and and you have a fresh baby. Yeah. Like you have Austin, who's like 4 months old. January 7th. Yeah.
7 to 12.
5 months old, and Emmy, who's 1, who's literally 1 year old, maybe going on 2. So anyway, he gets the results back. They get me on the blood thinner. Then he gets the results back. He's like, again, I feel like hospitals need to work on people's game faces because the oncologist who came back, he came back looking at me like I was death warmed over. Yeah. Immediately killed all the vibe. You weren't there. You were at the salon. He immediately killed all the vibe. He came back with his face looking like, I'm so sorry, sir. And then also the nurse that was with him, it was like she couldn't hold back tears. And I was like, oh, great. Thank you so much. I mean, I appreciate it. Ooh, I kicked the tripod. So anyway, he comes back. He lets me know from the cells that we have gathered and tested, it seems like you have lung cancer. It appears to be stage 4. So now I have to get tested to see where it has spread in my body. Like it's spread in your body somewhere. We have to find out where it's been spread.
And maybe before they fully tell you or whatever, but I remember you calling me also. I'm at the salon.
I called you right. I got about the first sentence out, and then I called you because really what happened is he gave me that news. He's looking like, I'm so sorry that this happened to you, and worse. The nurse is crying. I'm trying to hold it together. And then I also have to call you because you are also waiting for the results of this test as well. Exactly. So I call you.
I have to go back to work because we're on like day 5 of this.
Correct. You can't be out of work forever. So then I call you and give you the results. I give you so much credit because you were remarkably composed when I gave you the news. You took it. You didn't. I mean, you can't though because you're like in the salon. You're with a client. You don't have the liberty to like break down and lose it.
Well, the funny thing is, I remember thinking like we were just earlier this year outside flying kites in the park, running around with the kids. It was great. So surely he can't be, this sick. So I remember I came out where I was in the salon suites. I came out, went all the way out, went through the glass doors, and then I'm sitting in the front lobby. And then there are 2 locked glass doors, so there's like a little bench. And then I'm sitting there and I'm talking on the phone, and then they say, yeah, stage 4. And then I was like, this can't be like the highest stage. So I was like, well, what's the highest? What's the highest? And they were like stage 4. So I'm like
0 to 100.
I was like, how did we skip past 1 through 3? Like, how do we get to 4?
I don't know.
How do we just learn about this and we're at 4?
I do not know.
And so I think they kind of explained basically once it moves out of whatever confined area, then that's where it basically moves to, these different stages. If it was like just in this part, it's 1 or whatever, maybe 2, but once it moves out of wherever it's supposed to be, then that's how they advance the stages. So then that was my first understanding really of how that worked. But I do remember speaking with you on the phone, and I think I might have had you on speaker or in my ear or whatever. But I remember, even though I was composed with you, because I'm like, you can't break down with the person who's hearing the terrible news. And I remember my mouth, my words were coming out very clear and concise, but my lip was like shaking, like quivering, and I couldn't stop it. But I could still talk easily, but I couldn't stop my mouth from like shaking, because I was like, wow, this is a lot that they're saying right here. Even though my mouth is shaking, I have to just kind of like ask the questions I need to ask and say, okay. And then I think they said you could like go.
I could leave. That's
and
what he was waiting
that's
for.
what you were. You were that we were waiting for the results, and you're like, I need to leave this place. And they're like,
yeah, I need to leave this place. And I was like, I can't do that, doctor.
And you're like, I got to get up out of here. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna come get you. And then I went back and told my client, I was like, I gotta go get my husband, um, from the hospital. And that was it. You were like, we heard that news. You were like, I gotta go. And then I was like, okay, we're gonna go get him. And then we went home with that understanding. And I remember right there, I think right while I was still sitting there, I called our mentor, who was Dr. Stacia, Dr. Pierce, and I called Dr. Stacia and I was like, this is the news. And she was like, what? But she was real like, and she probably was taken aback by how calmly I was reporting the news to her too. Like, yep, just got a call from Michael. They said this, and they're saying he has stage 4 diagnosis. And she was like, what? Like, okay, and she was asking me some questions, but I was like, and this is what they say. I'm about to go get him from the hospital. If you could have, Dr. Pierce give him a call or XYZ, da 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 da. And she was like, okay, okay. But she was answering my questions. I was telling her, whatever, but just reporting it. It wasn't like I was sobbing or anything like that. And then I was like, okay. And then I went back to my client. I was like, oh, my husband was in the hospital. I got to go get him from the hospital, et cetera, et cetera. And then it was like, okay. And then, I finished them up, and then came and got you from the hospital. We kind of we didn't discuss it exactly like that anymore. We just kind of like, okay, this is what we need to do to prepare to move forward.
How do you? There's no real way to prepare for that news unless you knew it was going to happen.
Especially when you have no. I mean,
no. And I remember what happened is I came home, and
I mean, at that point you're not even like 45 yet, so there's no like
44.
You're not even thinking like.
This is why having a good community is so vital, because remember we came home and Dr. Jason he's a good friend.
Yeah, we were calling.
I called him, and he just gave me some initial things to think about and to do. And I also asked him for a referral, because I was like, I can't do that oncologist, because he just, I don't know, he just gave me the feeling like he was just going to like help me make it comfortable till I make it comfortable until I transition, and I'm not in any mood to transition at all anytime soon.
Correct.
Especially now with a brand new newborn son, 1-year-old daughter, and 3 other children. It's not happening. Not with it. But it was an interesting time to have that news, because you get out of it. Because what happens, you get home, you had those conversations with him at the table, and then we got to immediately start packing, because a day later, a day and a half later, your whole family's flying into town. I remember it was like we made a pinky swear pact. We were not saying a word of any of this to them while they're there, because the one way to ruin a Disney vacation is like, oh yeah, by the way, he got this diagnosis of blah blah
I think
blah.
the thought was like, we'll tell them, but we're not going to tell them this weekend, because this is a heavy bit of news, and it will be a cloud over, and people have spent so much money, and invested so much time.
It'll steal all the joy from the whole
and it
weekend.
would just have stolen the joy. And we
Every
had
little bit
such a great time.
It was an amazing time. Except this is what always strikes me about that time. All the months leading up to this time, and this is why I think just you got to get your mind right. All the months leading up to this time, I would wake up, take kids to school in the morning, do stuff in the day. Now, legitimately, my back will hurt and stuff like that during the day. I'll be taking painkillers and things like that, but I wouldn't be like weakened. But during that weekend, it was like, for some reason, like, remember, they had to push me around in a wheelchair as we got to the end of the Disney day. Now, part of that, legitimately, I was cold and I was mad that I got a brand new tracksuit, sweatsuit, but it was hot that day. I don't know how I fooled myself. You're from Michigan. You know the Hawk. Anyway,
So December, yeah.
Yeah, it was December, but I had like my tracksuit, sweatsuit, and I left the hoodie in the car because it was so hot outside. I was like, I don't need to carry this. I'll leave this hoodie in the car. But as it got later in the evening, it got cold, and I got viciously cold for some reason. But then also for some reason, it was like I was really weakened and tired, and they had to push me around the wheelchair, which was slightly embarrassing, maybe more than slightly.
I think the thing that people don't take account for, and I take account for. Go ahead, tell me what you're gonna say though.
But I was like literally, if we had went a week earlier, I would have walked around the whole day. I was like, was it something about everything that happened that like mentally just made me weaker for a moment?
Yeah, I think the problem
but physically as well.
I think knowing that news, because sometimes you can be like, oh, I'm in pain, but you don't know exactly what. And then once they tell you exactly what, then you have to fight with the information that you have just gotten. And they're talking about stage 4. They're talking about, you recognize you coughing up blood, and then you just like, sometimes you're just like, wow, this is a lot of. Have you ever like had a lot to do like the next day, or like you got a busy week, and sometimes just knowing that you have a busy week, you're already tired. Yeah. Like, or if you got to stay up all night. Do we have
5 children and jobs and businesses? We're talking about you got a busy week. You already tired.
But it's like sometimes just knowing you have a lot to do can almost like fatigue you. Yeah. Like you're like, this is about to be a doozy, and so sometimes you have to like readjust your mind.
That news was like perpetual doozy.
Yeah, I think that news can wear on you physically as well. But the other thing that you have to give account for in terms of us going around the park is, and I have to remember this when I'm working in the salon. I'm working in the salon and I'm like, y'all, it's warm. Ooh, and they're like, I'm freezing. And this is even before their hair gets wet or anything like that. But I'm like, you're sitting still. So you have to remember, like, we're walking around. And so once you move to, and people always remember this if you ever end up pushing somebody around in a wheelchair, they're not moving. They're not walking. And just that walking and that exertion creates heat. So the fact that you were just kind of like sitting and being pushed around, that means that you weren't keeping up the body heat. So then you already were just getting colder, and then now you freezing, and then that works on your mind and everything too. So you have to also. Oh yeah, that.
Will also make
and at that point you have probably been taking them like a week.
Yeah, so I think it was
and that was double those two things.
So that's December 3rd. Anyway, that was one little minor point, and they didn't mind. It was still a great time. We enjoyed the living in the house together, vacationing, going to.
We sang, we enjoyed.
Disney, we sang. So we get through that weekend. So now, I don't have my appointment. I think my appointment with my oncologist is like December 21st. It's when you get good doctors, you can't just get into them. When you're a new patient, when you're an existing patient, yes. When you're a new patient, no, you go, oh, I'm sorry, we can't see you until. So I couldn't get in to see my new oncologist. It was like December 20th, December 21st, something like that. So right now I'm just taking my medication for the blood thinners.
And also, it's a wild time during the holidays.
It is, and this is also
a holiday too.
And this is also 2021 pandemic time. So it's not just it's not just normal times. This is pandemic time, Christmas time, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going through our day by day, trying to manage mentally, trying to figure out what we're going to do next. Fortunately, Dr. Stacia connected us with like a good dietitian that was trying to help us do some health things in terms of
that's true.
Our diet and the things that we eat. Because I remember I got it in my head. I was like, it's the food. I was like, the food is killing me. Because remember, that's when I lost 37 pounds or more in between.
I think the whole process, that first couple of weeks,
in those 6 weeks,
20.
That's what I mean.
First week, you maybe the first 2 weeks, you might have dropped like 20 pounds.
Because I basically stopped eating.
Because you were like, all the food's killing me. I'm not eating any of this.
I'm not eating.
And then it was like, well, you have to eat something.
Right. So I dropped so much weight.
Yeah, and already thin. And then
praise God, svelte. Yes.
You always were a svelte person, but to be already tall and lean, and then have that much cut from you, where you didn't have much to cut in the beginning, that you were looking very frail.
I was looking very drawn. So we're going through that. We are trying to, at least me, I'm trying to keep it together. Let me just be honest. I'm just trying to keep it together. You get that type of news. I'm a person of faith, but also, this is a faith fight. You have to and I don't think, I'm going to say this, I don't feel like my faith was fully prepared to start fighting this battle. at this point in time. So it took me a second to recover. I needed a second to like get my mind together, get it together. And also just, when you got all your kids around and all the other stuff, you gotta fight the thought battle as well. You see your kids like, is this gonna be the last time, the last Christmas, et cetera, et cetera. So that took a little time. But then what happens is we get about 2 weeks later, yeah, December 3rd. So it's December 17th, it's a Friday. Um, I wake up with the most vicious, not wake up, but during the day I develop like the most vicious growing pain. I don't know what it is. I can't explain what it is. But I think it was just on the other side of manageable. There's manageable and there's unmanageable. And I was like maybe 3 toes over the line of unmanageable. So I'm trying to fight to keep it manageable. You're off at work. I got Amy and Austin at home with me. The kids are at school. There's nobody in the house but me and the kids. And I'm doing my best to like deal with the pain while watching these 2 kids. I think it was by about, I reached out to Dr. Jason. I was like, I got this pain and it won't go away and it feels like it's getting worse. And it was like by about 4 o'clock, it had gotten from 3 toes and unmanageable to like I got a foot in it and we got to go to the ER. So I go to the ER, they check me in. This ER was not the new hospital ER. This was a different ER. So I was sitting out in the lobby for like some minutes waiting to get seen. And I was like, ooh, this is like every show you see on TV where somebody's sitting in the lobby. They're like, oh, I'm in pain. Can't you do something to help me? Mm-hmm. And this is with the doctor friend who already notified them that I'm coming and to like reserve and whatever, bring me to him. It still was like 30 minutes. But eventually they take me back. Here we go with the scans again. Fortunately, this time, I don't know what it is, but I can lay flat now, so the scans weren't that bad. But they couldn't figure out what it is. They gave me some painkillers. The pain went away, but I'm still in the hospital for like 2, 3 more days. I go in on Friday. It's Sunday. They don't know what's wrong. They can't find anything wrong. They ran a million tests or whatever. At this point, they just hold me for some unknown reason, whatever. So I end up getting discharged on Sunday. I remember I get discharged on Sunday. Everybody's at church, so I called an Uber to church.
Well, let me go backtrack a little bit.
Back it up.
You are in the hospital because we got to go back to the hospital. Okay, can't figure out what it is, and you're in pain. But this is the end of 2021. This is December of 2021, and so what had happened was we had not been in an actual church in-person service since the pandemic started at the end of March in 2020. So it had almost, even though we saw people in pods and little pockets and here and there in this area, we had not been in an actual church service since 2020. And so this is the end of 2021. So it had almost been like almost 2 years, that maybe a little over a year and a half, where we had been out of physical church. So this was like, hey guys, we're going to start back service
coming back to church
in 20. We're going to start it back in 2022, but this was like our Christmas service that we're going to have, and
the family's getting back
together. And everything was kind of leading up to this, and I was like, he's not going to make it. They're not going to discharge him from the hospital. So it was kind of a press, like, do we need to be here? Why are we back here? If you can't figure out what's going on, cut him loose, et cetera, et cetera. You know, you already have him on the Eliquis, which was the blood thinner that they had you on. And they're like, we had some friends that had blood clots and they were on this, and they were like, oh, that's the good one. You know, then people like, oh, that's supposed to be the new fancy one. He'll be good, you know, on that or whatever. So it was like a press to like, okay. So I was like, I thought I could get you before we went to, church, and then you were like, I was like, oh, it's okay, we're just gonna have to go back for kind of this like reunion service without you. And so everybody of course was like, where's Mike, where's Mike, where's Mike, now where's Mike,
where's he at this time?
And I don't, and the other thing is, we have also decided to not tell what about the diagnosis. So we go back and nobody can see us, because the other thing is, it's still pandemic-y.
Yeah, so nobody's seen us really, so we're just...
So nobody sees if you're not looking any kind of way. Nobody, because for all intents and purposes, we're still kind of, everybody is still quarantined.
Everybody's still remote.
So we haven't seen some of these people in almost 2 years.
You know, good friends.
I mean, you see what you show on social media.
Right, but you haven't seen in person, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys can, because they just couldn't get me discharged soon enough again, because weekend doctors, you got to wait till the doctor can get to see.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, I can leave and come get you. So you're like...
But but you got 5 kids.
Correct.
So
one of which is an infant.
Right. So I was like, no worries. I'll just catch an Uber to church. So I caught an Uber to church. Saw everybody. I remember.
And you could have totally just went home, but you were like, let me go.
I wanted to see my church family, and I just wanted to get to where you are and just ride home with you.
Yeah.
Like, the Uber home would have been even further. Yep. I also am not into wasting money.
The Uber to the church.
Uber to church, got to see everybody. I remember.
Really at the end, but you look really small, I think, too. Because I remember you had on that like black sweater and you were walking really slow.
Well, I wasn't in pain, but I was, by the time I got there, I was extremely tired.
Yeah, and you look very tired.
I was very tired. Well, another thing people don't talk about, you can't sleep in the hospital. Mm-hmm. Like, they act like you can sleep. I don't know who does sleep. Some people, I guess, they get their best sleep in the hospital. But hospital beds were not made for a person that's like 6'4" like I am. It's just not made. The bed is too short. You don't have good blankets. They give you them heated up sheets. Like, oh, we'll bring you another blanket. This is not a blanket. This is it's not even an extra thick sheet. It's like a mildly thick sheet that we put it on a warmer. Yeah, but this hospital is AC down.
So then as soon as the warm cools off.
The sheet cools off instantly. So then you spend the night shivering, like, oh, can I get another one? Can I get another one? And I'm on blood thinners, please. So you can't sleep. So I was ready to be out there anyway because I just can't sleep. I'm not getting sleep anyway, so I'm very tired. So we get in, and I got there, church was over, like everybody was walking out. They just, how we hang out after church. So I get to see everybody, shake hands and all that stuff, hug people, etc., etc. Then we leave, and this is what I remember. I remember leaving you like, I can drive home. I was like, cool, go ahead, drive home. I remember I don't think before since I've ever been this tired in my life. I was so tired that I couldn't even lay my head back. I was trying to recline, and I ended up sticking my head out the window like a dog. Huh? I stuck my head out the window to let the air flow over it because I was extra hot. And I was super tired, and I just stuck my head out the window, and I think I fell instantly asleep. Mm-hmm. And I was like cooked. I was gone. And I woke up right when we got home, and I remember just like staggering up the stairs and collapsing into the bed and going straight to sleep, instantly to sleep. And then I woke up. We got home probably 3:00?
Maybe
2:30. I remember I woke up. It was like 9, 9 or 10. And I felt good when I woke up. I was like, cool. Mm-hmm. Great. And then I remember we were watching one of the real estate shows on.
Yeah, we were kind of like, okay, you're gonna chill here. We're gonna. Oh, it's like I'm gonna drink you, make this tea. It's a healthy tea. Or drink this. But I remember the other thing that I think you could only think about this if you're like a mother, maybe a woman. But I think a woman and a mother, and they had small children because we had not. When you're in the hospital, we had only told the children like, oh, dad's in the hospital. They're saying he has a whatever. We might not even fully have told them because at that point, the eldest, which was Dylan, is only 14. So you go like 14. That would mean that Caleb has just turned 12, and that meant Owen has just turned 7. And then you have Emmy, who's almost going to be 2, and then also who's like 4 or 5 months old. So, I mean, the one and the baby, they're not going to know what the heck's going on.
They're not going to remember it anyway. It doesn't matter.
And Owen is 7. He's not paying attention anyway. So the 14 and 12-year-old moderately paying attention. But I remember thinking, like, I can't let them know how serious this information is. Yeah. So you still have to hold up for these people that... Yeah, Dad was in the hospital for a while, but he's getting better. Right. You have to be a parent, not even a mother, but I think you just have to be a parent. You can't
introduce that instability
to understand, because I think dads would do the same thing, like, your mom or your dad, they're fine, and just to protect your children
and them and their emotions,
because when you hear things like that when you're a child, because I know my mom had a gallbladder incident when I was little, and she was in the hospital for so long. I remember just being so fearful, like, oh, what's she
gonna have to do?
So you
don't
put extra emphasis. So you just take it. You take it. Like you take all the information and you block it from the children to make sure they don't see the extent to which is going on in and out of the hospital and all the information. So that's what was happening. So anyway, we get home, you rest after church. It's a Sunday.
I wake up, you made me the tea.
And then you're getting dizzy. This is when you have like, this
is what happened. You made me the tea.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Tea was not good. It was extra healthy because it was definitely not tasty. It was extra healthy and extra unhealthy and extra untasty. And I'm like, can we sweeten this up somehow?
And I'm like,
and he's like, no, no, no. So I drink the tea. We're sitting down. We're watching whatever show. We're relaxing because I'm out of my second stint in the hospital. And then I get nauseous, extremely nauseous, and then I get violently ill and I start throwing up. So I'm throwing up, and it's like I don't even know what it is that's in me, but I threw up, and all this brown stuff like comes out of my insides, like the most. I don't know. Imagine if you raked up leaves and then stuck them in a puddle of water and just left them there for like a week. That's what I'm telling you. That's what it looked like. Came out of me. I threw up, and it was like dark brown, leafy sludge came out of it, and I'm continuing, and eventually it starts to subside. And I think, okay, it's done. No, it's not done. I keep doing it. More comes out, and then it's like a cessation of. I was like, okay, cool. Let me walk back to the bed. I try to get up to walk back to the bed. I stand up and fall over immediately. I don't realize what it is then. I know now it's vertigo. I completely lost my sense of balance. So I can't stand up. I try to stand up. I'll fall over again. I'm like, okay, I can't, let me crawl to the bed. I can't crawl. I try to crawl. I still fall over. It's that bad. So I remember I end up curling up into a ball in the middle of the bathroom floor. We have a baby tub.
Because there was like 2 times, maybe once, because I was like holding to my shoulder. And then
you tried to have me hold my shoulder, and I couldn't do it.
And then we were going to try to walk back out of the bathroom
the first try was
all the way over to where the bed was.
First try was a failure. I couldn't do it. I couldn't even barely stand up, so I couldn't do it. So I ended up laying curled up in a ball in the middle of the floor.
Where you were like laying on the bathroom rug that was in front of the tub.
Laying on the bathroom rug.
And then we put the baby, I took you know how it's like a baby tub, and then you had the net.
We had multiple baby tubs. So you took the one we didn't use and put it under me, and then whenever I needed to throw up, I'd throw up in the baby
tub. And then
tub.
I took the little net the baby says on, so it was just like a white tub. Just a little. And then I just set it in front of you, and then
I would throw up in that tub, and you covered me up with a little throw blanket, and then
I just let you lay on the bathroom rug,
and then proceeded to clean the bathroom around me.
Yeah, I was like, he's just gonna lay on this rug anyway.
Sweeping all the floor and everything up, spraying off mirrors, doing all that, just cleaning the bathroom around me. That was around 10 o'clock. I think I woke up at like 1 o'clock, and we got me up, and I held on to the back of your shoulders, and then I went and laid in the bed, and then I went to sleep. And then I woke up the next morning, I don't know, I think it was like, I don't know, 9 o'clock maybe? 10 o'clock. Maybe. I think so. It wasn't early. It wasn't 6 a.m. because you would still been in bed. When I woke up, you were gone. You were out of the bed. And I was like, oh, where's she at? Oh, okay. So I walked to the bathroom. I had all my balance. Let me say I felt like 98% of my balance. So I didn't stumble or anything like that, but I didn't feel totally solid, but I felt mostly solid. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm back. So I went, used the bathroom, came back to the bed, and ate an apple. I was like, let me see. I mean, I know you're supposed to do brats. I skipped the B and R. So I ate an apple. I was like, let's see if this stays down. It didn't. But it wasn't bad. It was like I only threw up a little bit. It wasn't bad. And then I think I ate another apple and I was fine. And I was chill. So then I think you called me. That's what happened. I was sitting up in the bed.
Yeah, I had to run out really quickly. I was like, let me run out right quick. And then you also
ran out to get medications. Some of my prescriptions or whatever came in. I remember you said I wanted to get your prescriptions.
And I put the baby.
You put the baby tub next to the bed.
Next to the bed in case you needed anything. Right. You were sleeping and you were kind of propped up. How you had been sleeping anyway. You were kind of propped up, chilling with all the pillows on you behind your back and just kind of like sleeping in the bed. Right. And then the little tub.
The pillow mountain. Yeah. So I was good.
And then we just were talking on the phone and I was like, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
I feel good. I did. This happened a little bit.
I got my balance back. I'm okay. You're like, okay, I'm going to turn around. You were about to turn around and go somewhere. I think you were about to go to Leaves and Roots.
No, not that day. Because it was close to Christmas and I remember I was having people because I couldn't like leave you to like shop.
December 20th.
And I was asking my friends like, can you help me? And I was like, and I remember my friend Monda because she was like, pick me, I'll be an elf. And so what was happening was we had a list.
Santa's little help.
And then she was like, okay, give me the list. And then she was like shopping for me. So I was like, okay, we need this. This is on this person's list. And so she would get the things, not only where they were wrapping them. So I was like, okay, this is the budget. This is what we could do. This is the list. So then they were wrapping up.
Good, godly friends make a difference.
So they were like wrapping so I was dropping. So before this happened, before they started wrapping them, because her husband, everybody was wrapping a bill, but I was bringing them over to her in Lake Mary. Oh. So I was like, I would, some of the ones I had, they would like, we're going to wrap these. So I was like, I remember I had to go over there too, and then I was coming back on the highway. Anyway, we were talking on the phone the whole time. Right. And I was like, just chatting with you on the phone. You said you were fine and you felt good and you had a little nausea, but everything was like super chill.
I had my bounce back. I was chill. It was quiet. And I remember I was like, I'm not gonna go out the room and mess with anybody because I wanted to like stay in the room and just be chill.
And normally with the kids, if you don't go out, especially because they knew you were just in the hospital, 12 and a 14-year-old understand dad's in the hospital, be quiet, leave him alone. Yep. And I'm pretty sure I probably told him before they left, because normally they would hang out in the loft and our rooms were upstairs. And so they would like watch TV in the loft and, hang out in there. So they probably were just leaving you alone to be quiet. And then some might have went downstairs.
And also, we've trained them like, if the door's closed, you got to knock before you come in and that type of stuff. So that, if I don't come out, they'll.
Another important component here is that our dear friend Sharita lived with us at that time. So it wasn't like the 12 and 14 and the little babies were in there managing themselves. Sharita, grown adult, lived with us during this time. So when I ran out, she was there with the children and in the house.
She was a crucial component.
A very crucial component in this. So we were on the phone, and then all of a sudden the call like dropped. And then I kept trying to call you back, and then it kept ringing.
Well, what happened was it didn't drop. It dropped, and I didn't hang up. You said, you said you heard like it was just like a scuffling.
Yeah.
But you called my name, I wouldn't answer.
Yeah, I was like, Mike.
And you just heard a scuffling. And you didn't call me back. What happened is you hung up, and I think you called Dylan.
Well, no, I hung up and called you back, but there was no answer.
Oh, okay.
And then I hung up. I called you like 3-4 times because I wouldn't have immediately called Dylan. Like I called you a couple of times and you didn't answer, and I was like, this is odd, because normally if a call drops or anything like that, you will call me back or I'll call you back and say why the call dropped. Yeah. But you weren't saying why the call dropped, and then you weren't answering. So then what happened was I called Dylan, the 14-year-old, and I said, hey, go check on Dad. And then when I called Dylan, he was like, okay. So I was like, go upstairs and make sure Dad's good or whatever. So Dylan goes upstairs and he knocks on the door or whatever. I say, open the door. Because he's very good about like, I'm not going to open the door if nobody told me to open the door. So I'm like, open the door. And I was like, is Dad? I was like, ask Dad, what? I was like, no, because I was like, maybe he just fell asleep because he's been in the hospital. He's so tired. And I was like, is Dad awake? And he was like, yeah, he's awake. And I was like, why didn't he answer the phone? And I was like, are you sure he's awake? He was like, yeah, his eyes are open. And I was like, Mike, why didn't you? I was like, put me on speaker or whatever. And I was like, why didn't you answer the phone? And then I'm asking Dylan, like, is Dad awake or not? Like, why is he not answering? And then I said, are his eyes open? And he was like, yes, he's awake. And then I was like, are you in the room? And then I said, Dylan, put me on FaceTime. So boop. And so I popped the phone, but it's like Dylan, which later he describes as the scariest moment of his life as a little 14-year-old. And my little chubby cheek eldest child, he was standing in the door frame, and he would go inside of the door. And it's a good distance at this time because it's a pretty large room. So he's standing all the way in the door, and he won't go close enough to the bed. So I say, go closer. And so when he goes closer and I said, go into the room and walk closer. And I was like, Mike. And so when he has me on FaceTime and he puts the phone out a little bit, I can see that when I look at you, I can see your arm reaching out, and it's like you're trying to say something, and then one side of your mouth goes down, but not the other. And then I knew, because it was like, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And then immediately I was like, Dylan, go get TT Rita. Go downstairs and get TT Rita. And then I was like, I'm calling 911. And I was like, I'm on my way. So I call 911, and then I call Sharita, and she was like, I'm here. I'm upstairs. I think she might have called too. And then it was like, ambulance is on their way, da da da. And I'm like hopping curves. I'm like, two willing, literally Dukes of Hazzard, trying to get back to the house because I can see what has occurred from this FaceTime. And then
just in case anybody's trying to guess, I'm having a stroke at this time. This is what's happened.
Yeah. So Sharita is like, I'm here.
I clearly remember this time, which is I try not to forget it, just to remember it, just so I can always remember to stay grateful. Like, so many things worked out definitely in my favor. So I didn't know I was having a stroke. But what happened was, when you saw Dylan, what happened was, it was like, the best way I can explain it. It's like, imagine an old school TV when you go to change the channel and it goes black for a second and then the screen comes back up. So what happened was, we were on the phone and I blacked out like that. And the next thing you know, I wake up and I see Dylan in the room. I'm wondering why Dylan's in the room, because it's like, you didn't knock on the door. Why are you just in the room? Things dads think in the middle of a stroke. So I'm like, why are you in the room? But then I black out again. And then I come back. Now Sharita's in the room. I'm like, what is going on right now? Because I'm in my shorts and I'm bare chested. I'm like, what is going on? Why are y'all in the room? I got half my clothes on. What's happening? I black out again. When I come back to again, now the paramedics are in the room and they're like, "We got you, Mr. Todd. We can help. Mr. Todd, I think he like asked me to raise my right hand or something like that. I couldn't do it. He's like, okay." And I hear him saying, they're about to put me on, the stretcher, whatever, the sideboard, whatever. So he's like, "We're gonna get you. Don't try to get up, Mr. Todd." And I'm like, "I can get up. I'm fine."
Yeah, you're trying to like walk.
I'm totally fine. So I'm trying to walk. He's like, "No, don't do it, don't do it." But I can't really control my limbs because I'm having a stroke. Blackout again. I come back. Now they have me on the little stretcher. They're trying to get me down the stairs. I black out again. We're down the stairs. Blackout again. It's like I'm constantly, it's like, off, on, off, on.
And then by this time, I have arrived.
You're home. I can hear your voice. I can't see you. They're taking me out the house. And then I black out again. We're inside the ambulance. We're driving down the street. They pulled the UE to go back out because they had to drive down and the circle and come around. They're in the UE. I black out again. And this was alone. When I come back to again, now we're on the highway. Then I black out again. I come back. We're at the hospital downtown. And then it's like, it's a series of just blackouts and come back, blackout, come back. I remember blacking out, coming back. We're in the front of the hospital. Then we're in the hallway. I hear the nurse talking to you or something like that. I still can't see you. A blackout I come to again. Now I'm sitting. They're flipping me over to put me in the CT scan machine. And then the last one I blacked out, I come back to laying on something, and there's a giant, like a huge TV screen, and there's a doctor or something over there looking at me. I can't even remember what he's saying.
You wake up and see the screen?
Yeah, I wake up and I see the screen, and I see a giant doctor, and he's talking. I can't remember anything he's saying, and I think I hear your voice, and then after that, I'm gone.
Do you wait? So this is what's happening in the meantime. I get home. I come in. They're coming. They have to. It's hard for them to get you down the staircase. And also, I'm back into mother mode because I remember the kids keep running, especially Owen, and he wants to see what's going on. But I don't want them to see. I don't want to see them to see Dad shirtless being carried down the staircase in the stretcher. And so I'm like, Dylan, keep them in the loft. And I'm like, everybody just stay over there or go back this way. Take it back to the room. What's going on? What's going on, Dad? And then they're having a hot challenge maneuvering it.
They have to lift me up over the stairwell.
Because it's like short stair, little landing, another stairway. And then it's a long staircase in the back, but they don't want to carry him through the loft to go down the long staircase.
They still have to get to the bottom landing.
So anyway, they're trying to this long old dude, they're trying to get him down this little staircase on a stretcher from out his room and all this. So anyway, they're trying to carry this stretcher down the stairs, and I'm like, oh. So I come in, I see them. They just have come down the stairs with him, and they're telling me what's happening, anything he need to grab, give him this, his license, da-da-da. And then I'm talking to Sharita, I'm like, okay, cool, da-da-da, this is this, blah, blah, blah. And then we get in, and I don't ride with you. I follow. I don't get in the ambulance with you because I remember you saying that you could only see on one side at this time because it was kind of like one side of your body.
I could see out of the left side of my body.
You couldn't see and you couldn't move. So the whole right side of the body was like offline. And so they take you, and then when I arrive, they're like, okay, he just got here. Because we almost get there because by the time they got to check you and da-da-da-da, I get there almost like, boom, right behind you. And they're like, he's not in yet. I think he's on his way, da-da-da-da. And they send me through all the things. But they bring me back really quickly because I have to come back to the room. And when you first come in ER, you're behind this like curtain. before they, take you anywhere. So they're wheeling these doctors in there. So they wheeling in like portable screens, and then the doctor's on the screen, like some new age stuff, like, hey, how you doing? And so they wheeling the little screens, and they're like, okay, let's see, and they're talking to them. They're kind of like telephoning them in, and they're telling them all what's coming up. Boom, Dr. Jason arrives, and
Dr. Jason was there.
He comes in. He comes in because it's like, this is what's going on. Da da da. I'm sure I probably call Dr. I do. I call Dr. Jason. She probably calls Dr. Jason, and I'm like, this is just what happened. Mike, had a stroke. This is what they're doing. They taking him down. Dr. Jason shows up on the scene, but they're all there, and it's good because they know him. He's
he's head of some family medicine.
Yeah, but he's a hospitalist in the big house downtown, which is what they call it, the big hospital. So when he comes in, he's kind of like, hey, what's going on? This da 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 da. But they're all, all the doctors on the scene, so they're pulling doctors in to ask them, and then they're going to do this procedure. And I remember one of the nurses was pregnant, the main nurse who was over everything. She was pretty pregnant. And then she hears me talking on the phone to Sharita. I'm like, yeah, I guess I had pumped milk. And so I'm trying to tell them how to get the breast milk. And I was like, give him 5 ounces. He just had this much. Get it. And she hears and she realized that I have a small infant. So I think this makes her more emotional. And then they realize I have 5 children, one of which is an infant. And they're like, oh no, this is happening to the husband. He has all these children. He has a small baby. Da da da. So she's like, they're really like, I'm sure they're always working to make sure everything is okay, but they were really like, oh no, and this guy is not that old, et cetera, et cetera. So they do this, they wheel you out. So on the run, they're making me like sign papers on the run. They're like, okay, we gotta go. This is what's gonna happen. And I'm like, okay, okay, cool. And so they're like, let's walk. So they gotta wheel you, and then I gotta follow back behind them real quick. And they're like, this is what's happening, da da da. And they explain the procedure. They're gonna go up through your groin. Because I'm like, they're saying your brain, but I'm like, okay, what's about to happen? They're about to cut his head open, or what's going on? And they're like, we're gonna basically put him on a big screen. We're gonna go up through his groin, and we're going to take this thing, and then they pull the blood clot off of your brain, because that's what has happened. And they're very, very intent to see time frame, because they're like, what time did the call drop? And so I'm like, so I got to go back on my phone to see what time we call, what time the call ended, because they're trying to keep it within a 2-hour time frame. It has to like happen within this time frame, and the quicker, the better. The quicker you're back online, the better. So then they go and they're like, okay, da 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 da. So that's why it's like they're racing against the clock. Like, come on, follow us, blah blah blah. And they're like, okay, sign this. And the lady, I'm following the pregnant lady down the hall. She's like, da da da. So they wheel you in the room. And they're like, they close these double doors. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, okay, we're gonna have you sit right down here in the operation like waiting area. And I was like, okay. So I got to sit there. It's only like 30 minutes. It's a very quick process from the surgeon coming out.
The probe up through the artery in my groin, pull the clot out of my brain. While in there, the surgeon says he sees where I've also had a minor aneurysm.
Oh, this happens when they come back out to the room, the waiting room. They say, Mrs. Tyers, your husband did great. The procedure went just as planned. He's doing very, very well. You can see him in a minute. They're wheeling him up to the recovery room. He's going to have a stent on his leg. Nothing happened to his leg. It's just that we need him to not move it. So he's going to wake up. He's not going to know why this is on his leg, but he cannot move his leg. And then I'm like, okay. So when, that's just why that's there. And I was like, okay. And they were like, also, while we were in there, we did see a small aneurysm on his brain. And I was like, okay. And so then the doctor, which was, I thought, the most, but I mean, it's how doctors are. And I think it's the way they used to cover themselves. He was like, so if he makes it 5 years, then we'll go back in and see about doing something with that.
Fixing.
And it was kind. I remember it was alarming because I was like, "What do you mean if he makes it 5 years? What? What? Excuse me?" Right after you're saying he did a great time and this whatever, but it was like, if he makes it 5 years, then we'll see about anything.
Guess what? We're at 4 years already, buddy.
And that's when the first word I had heard about an aneurysm, and then I realized that that's probably the pop that he had heard a few months earlier. The snap that he was like, this is what happened, and I was forgetful, and so on and so forth. So then I go to see you upstairs in the room, in the recovery room, and you keep asking. And so first it's like, hey, babe, how's it going? And you're like, good, good. Now you're talking. Because before when you came down on the thing, you could see me, your eyes are open, but it was kind of like you were looking at me like this. Like it was like you could see
after
me
the surgery or before.
This is like when you came down the stairs, right when the occurrence happened.
Definitely.
If
my right eye was open, I saw nothing happen.
And what's the name of it? We'll figure it out.
Infarction.
Anyway, infarction. So when that happened, that's how you were just looking at me. So you could not speak, even though it looked like you were trying to speak. But then after
trying to speak a few times,
you could not say anything. So after the procedure happened and I went upstairs, you had this stent on your leg, keeping your leg from moving, and then you kind of looked exactly like the doctor said, like, why is this on my leg? And I was like, no, they said don't move your leg. For a couple of hours, you just have to lay flat and let everything kind of heal, whatever, from when they went up through your groin. So they're like, don't move that. So then you would say, what happened? And then I would explain to you, I was like, they did this, that, and they had to go up to here, and they said you had a stroke, and this, what, and you were like, huh, and I was careful to not tell you too much of any more they had said. And I don't think I told you that for like a year and a half, almost 2 years later. I held that last part because I was like,
you kept that real quiet.
This is too much information for me. It's a lot going on already. I mean, we didn't got to stage 4. We got the pulmonary embolism. Like, now we didn't have a stroke. We ain't not giving no more information. So I was like, yeah, it's fine. They said you did a great job, so on and so forth.
I'm doing this to protect you.
And so, but the challenge was I would keep telling you the story.
I don't remember. I think I remember the last time you told me.
And then
because you've told me this,
and
like,
then you
at least 3 or 4 times,
and then
go
you
to
were kind of
sleep
like,
or something?
it wasn't like you just knocked out. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, that's what happened. Okay. And I was like, yeah, they said this and this and that. We just got to lay it down, and then your body has to heal, so on and so forth. And then you would like ask me again what happened, and then I would like, in my mind, I'm like, I just told him. But I'm gonna tell him again. But I'm gonna tell him again, and I would explain the story again. I was like, well, this happened, and you were at the house, and and then you're like, okay. And then by the third time, I was like, oh, he's forgetting it. Like he's not remembering every time I'm telling him the story. And so I was like, so then I would give it like an abbreviated version, like, oh yeah, this and that, blah blah blah, and tell you. And then this time, what was all stroke, I'm sure we every doctor, but nurses that have come in, so they have to every time come in and keep asking you to do this. So they're like, Mr. Todd, hey Mr. Todd, stick out your tongue. And they'd be like, ah, and then they'd be like, raise your right arm, right, ready for
I don't remember any of that.
And then they would like ask you what year it was, and they would ask you a random question, but you would be so annoyed. Like so nasty about it. They were like, Mr. Todd, like you almost like you weren't gonna do it. And they're like, I know, but I gotta ask you, but I gotta make you do it. You're like,
I don't remember doing any of this. This is the first time you told me this, and it's cracking me up right now.
So angry with them, like they're annoying you so bad. And then they'd be like, raise your arm.
Did I get the year right?
Ooh, sometimes it was close. Sometimes you didn't get the year right.
I wonder.
Most of the time you got the year right, but you might not get other things right, because the other thing that happened that you could talk about in a little bit, once we had your PT and all your therapy that came in the house, you would, which we didn't realize, and the doctors comforted me in saying, like, when you have a stroke, the brain heals. And it was comforting because I was like, oh no, my husband is not going to be able to remember anything. I've told him this story 3 times. That was like my first panic moment when I had told you that story, and then I had to keep telling you. And I was like, oh no, he doesn't remember. Oh no, what does this mean? Because who knows?
50 first dates.
Right. Literally, that's the only context you really have of that moment of like, I keep telling him the story, he keeps not remembering. So then when they come in, they might say, name a word that starts with F.
I remember this.
And you can't.
Well, true. It was.
And you can't.
It's such a weird thing to have happen to be, because I remember the third time I woke up, and I remember looking over at you, and I was like, what happened? And you told me I had a stroke, and I was like, that's another thing that cracks me up. I'm like, somebody told you you had a stroke, and I don't think I ever had like a really major reaction to it. I was just like, oh
yeah, it's true.
Okay. I also remember a nurse coming in, like, because I woke up and it was like I could talk like this. We could have a full blown conversation.
So I was like, oh, we're back.
We're back. We're back online.
It's okay. Everything's okay. And you weren't talking any type of weird way. It wasn't like it was all like back to normal.
Right.
As normal as it could be.
Grateful, Lord, thank you. And I remember a nurse walked by, and then she looked. It was like she looked, and she came in the room, and I had a full blown conversation with her, and And you were like, you don't remember, this is the nurse that was here like when you got checked in and stuff like that. And I was like, oh really? Oh well, thank you so much,
Yeah.
etc.
You were like, thank you so much for taking such good care of me, and whatever you said to her. And then she was just like,
and she just broke down in tears.
She's crying and she's like, wow. And she was like, do you mind if we bring some of the other staff up here? Because this is why we stress the importance of working so quickly. Because she could see that you can move your arm and you can move your leg, and that you were talking so clearly. Mm-hmm. And she was amazed. She was just like, this is amazing. Is it okay if I bring some other people up just to see? Mm-hmm. Because I want them to see how their fast action made sure that
makes such a difference.
It makes such a difference. And so
thank you. I don't know if you ever see this, but if you see this, thank you. Yeah, so we had a conversation then.
And she was crying. And she starts crying.
She did start crying. And I was kind of confused. I was like, why is she crying? Yeah. So much? And you were like, you don't understand. She saw you when you first
And she was like, you don't understand the difference between wheeling you into the room and trying to have you speak, and you couldn't speak. Mm-hmm. And she was in the room when the procedure was happening.
And then seeing you now.
And then coming up here and an hour later. Right. Seeing you like, hey, thanks so much for helping me. Then she was just like, this is like, why? Like she was really emotional by it. And I was like, wow, like, does she cry every day, every time stuff happens? Or like, I don't know. But I think like the difference, in addition to the fact that she was pregnant and she saw that I had a baby.
Yeah. And I think also, I'm pretty sure that a person who's had like I said, a lot of things had to go right. Like I had a stroke, but I was fortunate that I was on the phone with you. So imagine if we had finished our conversation, then you hung up and you turned around to go do whatever else it was going to do. Then I have a stroke in the room. Nobody's coming in to check on me.
Yeah.
Then you get home 2.5 hours later, you come in, there I am. Now you call 911. When they come to get me, I'm already 2.5 hours in or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably not a person that would have hung up being what had happened with you the night before, but absolutely true.
You definitely were on like...
I was like, you good? How's it going? And then, because sometimes we would just be on the phone and we would be talking, but I would be like, I'm headed back. And then we're like, how's it going? And you're like, I'm feeling fine. I'm watching a movie or I'm watching whatever on the TV.
You're definitely a person who...
So I was just trying to stay on the phone just to make sure you felt good.
When this type of stuff happens, you definitely ramp up your radar. Your radar gets real high. So
but I totally could have been like, oh, I'm about 15 minutes out. Or, what, I'm going to stop by this one place. Since you're feeling fine, let me let you go and then get some sleep if you can. And I'll be right back home. And then no one would have known that happened because the children would have.
Or you come home 15 minutes and then you just get caught up with doing stuff downstairs. Like, oh, he's upstairs asleep.
Correct.
And then you come up later. So a lot of fortunate things had to happen. And when I came back online, I could have conversations like this, but you're right, I did have to have speech therapy. I came back, I could move my right arm, but it took a while to move my right arm and my right leg like normal. But when I would try to step, like with my right foot, like my gait was different. I couldn't take a full step, so they had to work with that. And then I had aphasia, which is I could have a conversation like this, but like you said, a speech therapist would come in and she would say, all right, for the next 30 seconds, give me as many words as you can give, starting with the letter N. And she's like, you can use names as well. So now it's starting to be like Michael, multiplication, mastery, Mr., Mrs. And then I get to that and I'd be done. And I would struggle to find words and I couldn't do it. She was like, okay, let's try the letter F or letter D. And it used to frustrate me so greatly because, mind you, this is December 20th. This happens. So this is the week of Christmas. So this is December 20th. I'm in there from the 20th to the 27th. And she came in like 2, 3, 4 days. And every day it was the same. And I was like, it frustrated. I was like, I've lost the mastery of the use of language. I was like, I can talk, but I can't find the words.
Because it could be something easy like the TV that's on the wall. And you could see it and know what it was, but you couldn't remember the word of what to call it. And so there will be happening things all around you and you would see it and you would want to say, that is a light or that a shoe or whatever, but you could not remember the word that the thing was called. And then you would like, because you're a bit of a wordsmith, like in any casual, let me just say this, in any casual conversation with you, just a regular everyday conversation, you're going to probably have to look up some word that you say because you just throw out words. Just, just throw out a word. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Let me see. No, what does that mean? So it's just the person that you are. And it's just in your everyday vernacular. It's not anything like you're not trying to elevate your speech. It's just you're a wordsmith. Like you're full of words. Scrabble is like one of your favorite games. So
it's been a while we didn't play again.
No, I don't want to play Scrabble with you. But you like words, and so I think to have that inability to be able to just use a basic word, it was like you were so aggravated and angry by this.
Absolutely.
And then you were just absolutely very
without
agitated by this. And I was comforted by the fact that they would keep saying like the brain, just like any other part of the body, heals. Just like if you break a bone, if you fracture something, it heals, and your brain will heal over time. And I was like, okay, they said it will heal. It's going to get better. He's going to be able to remember something.
And she helped. And she helped me. She told me, she was like, one of the way you do it is just like explain everything about it and around it, and other people will grab it and they'll tell you what it is, and that will help you remember words. But it was still that was still a frustrating process to have to go through. So I'm in there. We do the whole stroke thing, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, but basically what they divined, they felt like the Eliquis, the new blood thinner drug for my stroke, is because they're like, this should not have happened.
Yeah, they're adamant that
your stuff should have thinned out.
Eliquis? Did he not take it? Was he remembering to take it? I was like, I think he took it every time he was supposed to take it. Every time the dose said he took it. Are you sure? Did he miss any? Because it was like they could not believe that you had this occurrence while taking the blood thinner, because they were like, the Eliquis should have prevented this from happening. This is why we gave him the Eliquis, because once you had the blood clots in your lungs, they give you the Eliquis to thin the blood. They were like, this should not have been able to happen while he was on this medication. I don't know what it is personally. The only thing I think maybe Eliquis loosened the clot. That's what I think too. It loosened the clot, and then that clot had traveled up. I don't know why this is so like, but it didn't thin it all the way out. It like they were just it found a big clot and it thinned it out and loosened it so it could travel. Then it accidentally got to my brain. They were like, this could not happen with it. Anyway. They ended up putting Attack of the Enemy. So then they put me on warfarin, which is a old one. Cool. Warfarin. And this it just has so many. The thing about the newer one was it didn't have as many restrictions. It was a little easier the way to take it. The older one, they were like, it's tried and true. This one ain't gonna fail. It's been here for years. You got to prick your finger. Been here for years. And then so many food restrictions. I had to stay in the hospital longer because of that, because they got this thing called PTINR. My PTINR was supposed to be, I don't know what this means. I just know the things they said. My PTINR needed to be between 1 and 2. So while I'm in the hospital, they have to draw my blood every 6 hours and check it to see if my INR when our PTINR is between 1 and 2, and it has to do that 2 times in a row. So I'm in there. They put me on the Coumadin and the warfarin. First, you got to let it flow through your system, whatever. They prick me. They're not pricking my finger. They're like drawing my blood out of my arm. So they draw the blood out of my arm. Okay, is 2.6. Let's lower the dosage. So they lower the dosage. Okay, cool. It's 1.75. Great. Now when we come back, if it's between 2 again, then we can let you out. Cool. They come back. Oh no, it's 0.81. Back to the beginning. So I was in there days. Every 6 hours, they're drawing blood. Sleep in the middle of the night. I'm so sorry, Mr. Todd. They come in with the whole thing. They're pricking my arm all the way up. Sometimes you get a good nurse that can find the vein. Sometimes you don't. Just trying to find the balance of this perfect number. And sometimes it's too high, and sometimes it's too low. They never got it. Yeah, true. Eventually, the doctor's like, we'll just have your oncologist figure it out. And they gave me these vials of this yellow liquid that I had to inject in my belly 4 times a day. So I had to go in a clockwise fashion and start the upper right section. It's like, just do it so I got to pinch the skin, inject myself. Top right, top left, bottom right. Top right, top. He's like, you got to do it in clockwise fashion. That way it'll give a chance for that section, whatever, the one you poke, to heal. So 4 times a day I'm just poking myself with this thing. It's just the most annoying thing. And that was, so mind you, this is the 20th to the 27th. So that means I was in there on Christmas Day. Yeah, so on Christmas. And I was hoping that you would get out. It was Austin's first Christmas. I remember like he had this little onesie, a little red onesie, just said my first Christmas. And that's a heck of a first Christmas. It was, I was trying to like, again, they're like, when is Dad coming home? Is Dad not coming home? When is that? Christmas. Dad's not gonna be over Christmas. What's gonna
and just a few notes with all this going on. Major thanks to all our friends, because we had to rope in some friends. We weren't going to say anything to anybody, but when all this happened, you had to like circle the wagons. So, and that was I think Manda, was Sharita. Sharita had been there, and later on had adjusted her work schedule. Kia, Jacob, like we had a great group of friends and godparents that were able to take our kids in. So like, oh, I'll take my god baby. I'll take my god. Well, what was happening too is by the time that because the first few things I didn't tell them exactly what was happening, and then I remember being outside of the hospital and I was like, we about to have a group call. So I call all my sisters on this group call. I'm like, hey, everybody. I'm texting first like, hey, y'all, I need to jump on this call. And so, a couple of them that tend to run a little bit later, they don't you say it. they hadn't jumped on yet. Farina. And then I was like, okay, I just gotta da. So I tell them Mike has been diagnosed with this. This is what they're saying. So then, this is what is happening. Crying. And they're like, it's gonna be okay. He's not gonna be sick. We're gonna write a confession. Our brother's gonna be fine. So they got confessions written. And they're praying, and they're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. It's gonna be all good. But the other part is my other friend Sharita had to leave for the Christmas holiday because she was like, I gotta go. I already got plans to go home to Michigan for Christmas. So I was like, it's all good. But I needed to kind of come back and forth with the hospital with Mike and take himself up there and just be available of all the things that had occurred. And so you still need to work a little bit. Yeah, and I needed to work. And so I'm out of work. I'm obviously out of work because I'm in the hospital trying to figure out words. But you're fraud. I'm out of work trying to figure out words. Keep it all together. I didn't get to money. Mrs., Mr., Michael, Matthew, money. Because you know what's so wild? I'll be like, yo, Isha, you like a thug. Because the first day that it happened where they checked you in, this is Black Friday, so I'm gonna go back a little bit. I go outside because I got a Black Friday sale running, and I was like, I turn around and I don't have the hospital in my background. I turn around this way and I get a palm tree and look like a parking lot, probably look like I'm shopping or something. And I was like, yeah, such, and make sure you do da da da, and don't forget the da da da. I'm not mad at it. So then I remember later I talked to Jack Shane. I was like, yeah, we're in the hospital. They done got Mike da da da. This is what happened. We woke up this morning. He coughing the blood. She was like, that's crazy because I just saw you on your story and you did not look like you were at the hospital. I was like, yeah, I'm at the hospital. I just turned my back so you couldn't tell I was at the hospital. That's why you need a ride. I was like, in your corner. I was like, just say I still gotta go. The money got to be made. Forget this hospital behind me. I'm not mad at it. They doing whatever they doing for him. I gotta run this sale. Listen, so I turned myself the other way. But anyway, my girl, we got to cover deductible anyway. I turn around and I call my friends and I say, "This is what happened." So they like, "What can we do for you?" Whatever. So we split them all up. Mm-hmm. So I remember, Austin had to go over because I needed somebody that could watch the baby the whole time. They had time and the teachers were off with us, so they take Austin. He's like an infant. Didn't they have Emmy too? Cogburns, Emmy, and Owen go over, with Kurt, because remember, they play and they were. Oh, Owen went with Kurt and Sharika. Austin and Emmy went with Darren and Melita. But Caleb. No, Austin only went with Darren and Melita. Yeah, Austin. But I'm saying it doesn't matter. They all went between Kia, Sharita, Melita, I don't Kenji. Remember. Everybody helped. And not only that, they really made for the most wonderful Christmas. I feel like this was our kids' one of their favorite Christmas. And it was so funny because later, in a year or so later, Dylan was like, this was the best. That was the best Christmas. And besides Dad being in the hospital, that was the best Christmas we ever had because it was kind of like they made sure all their presents were there. They bought extra presents. Just so many things happened that Christmas that they woke up I remember when it happened and we came back from the resort, we hadn't put up the tree because this happened and normally we're a little late according to some of our friends, but we're normally until the day after Thanksgiving. That's usually around the time we put up the tree. But the day after Thanksgiving, all this was happening. So anyway, the tree was. I might try it this year. The tree about to go up on November 1st, but we're not gonna get into the weeds. The tree had not gone up, so then our friends came over, helped us get the tree up, helped us decorate the tree.
helped us decorate the house and all of this time while you're in the hospital. So they are assisting on so many levels, wrapping presents, everybody's doing everything because this is from the time of Thanksgiving all the way through Christmas. Okay. And then so they are very much helping, and then the children are with them so that I can go back and forth to the hospital. And then by the time Christmas comes, they're back with me. And then I remember Christmas
watching Christmas on Zoom. That was one of the.
It was like Teams.
That was one. Yeah, Microsoft Teams. That was one of the saddest moments of the whole.
We were on like a 24-hour team call because I wanted. Well, the thing was, you were a little bit like, because things were happening, it was almost like you had a little fear to like rest. So not only are you in the hospital, you can't sleep.
It wasn't a fear of rest. This is what happened. We were on 24 hours on. Number one, I mean, you wanted me included in Christmas, yes. But that was one of the saddest things to watch your family have Christmas on a computer while you're in the hospital and open up. Thank you. I was covering my mouth while sitting in a hospital bed. But another reason was because was it the day of Christmas or the day after? I think it might have been the day after Christmas. I'm not sure. But we were on a 24-hour Zoom because what happened was I got nauseous and I caught vertigo again. Mm-hmm. So really what it was is I was fearing that I was about to have another stroke. And I was like, I mean, obviously you're in a hospital, whatever, but I just felt like I don't want to have this happen. And the nurses they come check every few hours. But obviously if that happens, I know it now. Like I think about it in retrospect now, like if something like that happens, I'm sure some type of alarm will be going off in the nurses station or something like that. But I had this irrational fear that I would be like having a stroke in my bed and they wouldn't see me for a few hours because I would be in the bed, whatever. My heartbeat or heart rate would probably still be normal, whatever, and they wouldn't notice. Ridiculous. But you were a good sport about it to be on a 24-hour Teams call. So it was like I had my laptop up and plugged in. We were on the Microsoft Teams call. I don't know why we didn't just use FaceTime.
I think it was easier to have the computer because I needed phone too.
Yeah, you need.
And so it was easier to open, laptop. And I would just set it right here, and then you could see the kids open their presents. But the other thing too is, I could like take my laptop. So once the kids like went to sleep and we were all done with whatever we were doing, I would take the laptop and I would just set it like next to me in the bed, like, hey babe.
And I have mine on my tray next to me in the bed.
Face me. And so I could just talk to you, and it wasn't like we were talking the whole time because you were like falling asleep. And I remember telling you like, it's okay, you can go to sleep. I'm not gonna go to sleep. I'm just gonna be up because I'm not sleepy right now, but I know you're sleepy because sometimes it would be during the day too, and I'm like, you can go to sleep. I'm just gonna watch and make sure that you're good, and I could also hear the beep beep dee, 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 all the things happening in the background. And again, I can't emphasize this. I'm not saying I have a lot of medical professionals, but there's a different level of staffing that is available at the hospital during the holiday. And it was one hospital, it was like you had to let people in. Remember, it was like the doors was locked, and not you in this state, but I'm just saying like sometimes there was no nurse at the nurse's station. And then they had to give out the meds, and then it was like, okay, I'm calling them to make sure to ask questions about my husband, but they wouldn't be available. And I'm like, hey, they're not available. And I was like, I guess it's the nighttime. They're busy.
All the reasons why I needed you on that 24 hours.
But I was like, I don't know. They seem kind of busy, and I'm not saying they short staffed, but it's giving.
I'm not gonna say short staffed, but I'm just gonna say it's not short staffed, but it's not fully staffed.
Yeah.
Because most people want their holidays off, but I'm sure they have a minimum amount of staff they have to have online. But yeah,
it's just giving like I'm gonna also keep an eye because I can't trust it, and so I'm just gonna watch also. And then if I feel like anything, because I had called a couple times to say, hey, can you do? You know how it's always like you can call if you need anything. You can call this or the head nurse or the nursing station, and then they can get a message down to the room. Like I had done it a couple times, but it was like you couldn't get through or they were too busy or whatever. And so I was like, yeah, we'll just stay on the call. And so it wasn't hard to like have the Zoom, the Teams meeting for 24 hours because it was really just a matter of plug your computer up, make sure it doesn't go off, and open your computer. You got your laptop there, and then
you have your laptop here.
And we just open it, and then if the kid's like, hey man, da 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 da, they can see that if dad's in the hospital, we don't know how dad's doing.
It was very comforting. I did finally start sleeping.
There's dad. He's there resting in the bed, and he'll be up in a couple days.
Love it.
So anyway, that was our
modern technology. Yeah,
Christmas 2021.
It was sad to watch the kids on Zoom, not on Zoom, on Teams, open Christmas presents and not be there. And then you came and visited me, I think Christmas night. for real quick.
Oh yeah,
Made little food,
and I was like, who can help me on Christmas Day? Because I was like, damn, we haven't seen him all Christmas Day, and I wanted you to at least open one present, which was like an Apple Watch. And I was like, I'm just gonna take, and we opened them together.
We opened our Apple Watches and had some good food that some people cooked for us, and it was nice. And then you had to leave.
Might have been Carrie.
It was Carrie Ann. Thank you, Carrie Ann. And then I think the next day you brought the kids, and it was great. And I was sitting with the kids, and then I also realized my limitations because I was like, I was getting tired. I was getting so tired. I was like, I don't want the kids
because we came out to the lounge.
I was like, I don't want the kids to leave, but
it was like a little room, and also they're busy.
They're very busy, and I was very tired. They're busy. Also, just a couple notes: if you ever have a loved one end up in the hospital, take them some jammies. I'm gonna take one moment to sit on my soapbox. Take them some jammies and some extra clothes because in those hospital robes is annoying and drafty. And I remember you brought me some jammies and those was cool. I was like, and it's comforting to be able to just put on pajamas even if you're in the hospital. The jammies were cool. They kept me a little bit warmer instead of this too short hospital robe. And also you brought me some sweats so I could like put on the pajamas at night. And during the day, I like wear a little sweatsuit. You got me them little sweatsuits from Walmart, and I still have. I love them. They're great. For loungewear, please. I mean, you can get a higher level sweatsuit, whatever. Sure. But bring them some jammies and like some extra clothes if it seems like they're gonna be in there a while. So, like I was. I almost want to say bring them an extra blanket, but I don't know if they let you bring a blanket. You can. The pajamas. Sure. The pajamas. I brought you a blanket too. The pajamas and the sweatsuit and a blanket.
I think you had the blanket your grandmother made you.
Yeah. It
was just like extra that could go over the sheets.
It was an extra level of comfort that will help the person make the best of a bad situation.
I'm glad those help you.
Not that I want to be in the hospital ever again, but in that time, that at least in terms of mentality and just comfort level.
I mean, I just think sometimes certain things are just mental. Like, and sometimes you got to add, and this is just even sometimes in the process of life and the faith process and manifestation. Sometimes you need little things to help you.
I can see that because when you wearing pajamas and you put on clothes, like I'm about to be at home.
Yeah, it's like faith props,
and that's what you need. Amen. So then the kids, I was so tired and I had to go back to the room. I was like, you went to get like some food and stuff, and then you came back.
Oh yeah.
I was happy to have the kids there, but when you guys had to go because I was weary. So then I get discharged from the hospital. I finally get discharged from the hospital. They're trying to teach me not teach me how to walk, but my right leg doesn't go as forward or as full of a step forward as my left leg. So they have to take some time for me to. They can't let me out of the hospital till I can walk. I didn't have to have a full walk, but they had to be sure that I could walk either with or without a walker, and I could get up and down the stairs. Because remember, I had to walk down this hallway a few times, and then I had to go up and I had to go down these stairs. And then when that finally happened, then they could release me and let me go. And then they just, ordered up all the therapists to come to the house. This therapist, occupational therapist, speech therapist, physical therapist, et cetera, et cetera. So they released me. Then I get home. And we're coming up on an hour and a half. We're going to have to wrap this a little bit. And if there's any more, we'll have to finish it later. But I will hit these couple points. So I get out the hospital. And I thought that was going to be my final foray into going into the hospital. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Except the next ones were short ER visits, not any overnight stays. But the first day the physical therapist comes to my house. I'm just gonna jump ahead to this one. The physical therapist comes to the house.
Oh, let me tell it.
Oh, you want to tell it?
Well, only because when she came, I think this is when the lady comes in.
Let me adjust.
What happened was she comes in, and then I was like, "Oh, he'll be down in a minute." I'll let him in. And when you first come in the door, you can see a person coming down the staircase, and you got your jogging suit on, and you kind of like, and you kind of like hop down the stairs. You're like, "Hey," she's like, "Oh wow, okay, you look like you're doing pretty good." Like it wasn't like you came down the stairs like,
God is good.
You kind of, and I'm sure you were probably trying to put on a little extra, like, I'm good. Do, 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 do. So she was like, wow, okay, so we're going to just have you do a couple of this and that, and we're going to check the thing. So I think because of, A, you look pretty healthy, You're not overweight. You came down the stairs pretty quickly with a little pep in your step. So she pushes you a little further. So she's like, do this. Then do this quiet. So then you just start sweating, during like profusely sweating. And I was like, oh, you need some water. And then she was like, oh, you need a break for a minute. Because I remember her saying the last thing, like, okay, we're going to have you do this one last thing. And then if you do that, then I mean, I might need to come back. It was kind of like.
No, she was like, if you can finish this, then I don't need to come back anymore.
Yeah.
Because I breezed through it was like the first 4 moves, like lift this leg, drop this leg with the right leg, lift this
and
leg.
It was like the last thing she's probably would have gave on her like third visit or something. Yep. But she was having you do everything on the visit.
Because it was so easy. She was like, okay, can you lift this right leg and swing it this way while standing on your left leg? Okay, cool. Can you stand on your right leg and do this and swing your left leg? So can you lean over like this? And it was all, let me say, it was pretty easy to me because, as you say, the brain heals. So I was starting to get my gait and my stride back because by the time I got out of the hospital, I didn't have my full stride back, but I had enough stride where I could walk. Let's not say normally. Let me pull this up for a while. Let's not say I could walk normally, but I could walk with just a little, let's call it a limp.
Yeah.
Not a full limp, but just I would have to. It was like I had to think about my step with my right foot. That's it. So when she came to the house, I could do all the exercises that she asked me to do pretty easily with no help. So she took me through all those. So then she was like, fine. She's like, if you can do 10 deep squats. I didn't have to have anything on me. I just had to do 10 regular deep squats. She's like, you do that, you're done. I don't have to come back. So then I go through the 10 deep squats, and I think it's like once I finished the 10th one, all of a sudden I started sweating. You can take it from there if you want to tell it.
Yeah, we were in the kitchen, and then you were sweating. It's like, okay, are you okay? And it was like, let's get you a chair. And then we got you a chair, and I was like, let's get you some water. So go to the refrigerator, get you some like cold water. She was like, let's have you sit down for a second, and then drink this, and then you drink some water. But then while you're sitting in the chair drinking the water, it's kind of like you just kind of like lean to the side a little bit and kind of like almost go offline. Your eyes are open, you're fine or whatever. But that was frightening because it was like, hey, Mike, you good? And I remember I called 911 immediately, even though in like probably what was a matter of like 10 seconds, 30 seconds, you were like, huh, what's going on? Da, 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 da. But it was just like that immediate, it was kind of like, oh no, not again. Type of reaction. They came and then you're like, I feel good. They were like, he seems fine. They asked you a bunch of questions. They're like, he seems good. But they end up taking you back to the ER.
You weren't entirely wrong. So I didn't expose it too much then, but I got sweaty, and then what happens? I got extremely nauseous all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
I was very nauseous, felt like I wanted to throw up. So you brought the seat in, and I sat down. So then when I sat down, I was concentrating, trying to get rid of the nausea. But then I could hear you guys talking, but there was like it was a little bit of a struggle to try. It wasn't just the nausea, it was something else going on. It was almost like being offline, like with me trying to talk to you, and I couldn't respond like I wanted to. Partly, I'd say, let's say 60%, 65% because of the nausea, but the other 35% was I was like, I don't know, I felt like I was in outer space, like.
But they said when the ambulance guys came back, and I felt like it was somebody that I might have seen before in one of the previous trips. But anyway, they were like, "It's fine." They were like, "He seems fine," because what happened was we go up front, we sit on the couch like in the front formal area, all the vitals. And then they took all the vitals, and he was like, "He seems good," and then they're like, "We're just gonna take him in just in case." They were like, it won't hurt. I think he's fine, but we're just gonna take him in anyway, just in case. And they described it as kind of like a floater. Like they were like, sometimes after you have a stroke, it's like while everything's like settling back down, it could be just a little quick like floater. And I was like, say what? And that's kind of how they described it, kind of like a quick moment of like, and then it's like back, kind of while the blood and the clots are like thinning out. They were just kind of like, sometimes that happens at the end of this process. So it wasn't like a full whatever again, but it was just like a quick little moment. And I was like, okay. But then that was kind of concerning because I was like, oh, okay. And then it was kind of like, should you overexert yourself? Was that too much? And the lady, oh my gosh, she would, when I say apologize, they take you off an ambulance. I am so sorry. I was like, I hope she don't get fired. Because it was like she knew in her mind she had pushed you too hard. So she blamed herself for like pushing further than she should have done on date one because she had just met you. I'm not saying I think it was her fault.
I will give her some grace, and as the hood says, shoot her some bail. I'll shoot her some bail. I think the thing is, what happens is you get in, I come bouncing down the stairs. So then you're like, okay, well, this is not the same as a person. This is not how this would present normally in a person. Then you give me all these other exercises, and I shoot through them with a breeze, with no help needed, no delays, nothing. I just boom, 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 get all those done quickly and easily without even really losing much breath, anything like that. You're not struggling with this at all. So, like, okay, we've done all these exercises with no struggle. Okay, this last one, let's do the 10 deep lunges. So then I do the 10 deep lunges. She's like, you don't got to do them that fast. I'm like, let me knock these out real quick. So then I knock them out real quick. So then it's like I get them done fast. But then what happens is when I come up off the 10th one, then all of a sudden the nausea and stuff hits. So I mean, I accept, it's cool.
I just think it's the person that you are. And I know that because I have a couple of children that are similar. And you're kind of like, I'm good. Da-da-da. Like I'm da-da-da. So I could see like, oh, you want to do this? Man, this ain't nothing. I can do this real quick. Boop, 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 boop. That's the way your mind works, as opposed to somebody who is a little more cautious in general and in life might have been like, okay, this just happened. Let me slow down and pace myself.
Well, she said you don't have to go that hard. Well, let's take it a moderate pace.
Yeah,
Two,
it's just
three,
the person
4,
that you like.
5.
Let me knock it out.
Yeah, so then I end up in the hospital again, in the ER again.
But that was
they don't hold me. They release me later.
And then after that, that's our last trip during that.
I think
from the Black Friday. That was January 3rd. No, that was our last one. That was into 2022. That was into 2022. That was my little baby sister's birthday, January 3rd. That happens, and then after that, then we're back, and
it was just
everything is kind of starting to be back to normal. Normalize. Everything is kind of opening up. And it's 2022 now, but 2022 was like a year for the books because I remember in 2022, I think we had 5 or 6 weddings that year. My brother being the first, his was like in May, March. I remember because we saw your father when we went down there. I think it was in May. But all the weddings, I was either doing hair or in the wedding and doing hair. Amy was a flower girl, and 2 of them, she was a 2-year-old. So it was like, it was so stressful because it was like her walking down the aisle, making sure that I'm available to do the hair on the wedding. So all of 2022 was a blur because this is how 2022 started, and then needing to and then also no one knows yet because we still have not. I have not told a client. We have not put it online. Everybody's still living in the multiverse of whatever you post
post COVID.
And we're not posting anything about it. And I'm not saying anything about it. And everybody also is still very hypersensitive in terms of like, did you go breathe somebody else's air? Because I still would have clients that were like, I saw you were out last night. It was a lot of people. People were very concerned about how many people were you with. Are you outside of your pod?
My COVID commentary will come on another
the
podcast.
amount of germs that you're exposing yourself to. And so I was very cautious, even if I was anywhere, just to not post in general because people were so concerned about how many people you're around germs. So my point was, you were living this life of like trying to protect kids, trying to make sure Mike is okay. He's doing physical therapy, trying to prepare for all the events. Wedding. Okay, you're in this one. You're doing hair for this one. You're in this one and doing hair for this one. Okay, you're traveling to Michigan for this one. Then you got 2 this summer, and then you still have to manage all your clients. And it was just such a busy year. I have to go back and like post the pictures from 2022 because
you got to go back and post a lot of pictures
because it was literally like I just stopped doing all the things.
I want you to reach into the 400 gigs of pictures and videos on your phone. I want you to go to the 90 to 150,000 pictures that you have on your phone. I want you to go into the archives of our entire life that you have stored on your phone that is currently causing your phone to malfunction. I want you to go back. I want you to go back into those. I just want you to start releasing the files. Just start releasing the files. We want to see it.
I'd never stopped taking pictures, but once people started feeling some kind of way about me being exposed to crowds, it was kind of like I was at this wedding and it was great, but whatever. And then also just trying to keep up with you, life, the kids, a little baby. I remember it was Austin's first birthday. I wanted to cry because it was like the week of this one wedding, which was Emmy was in the wedding. It was like, and when they told me the date, I was like, oh my gosh, that's Austin's like first birthday. And I was like, okay, it's okay. We could kind of plan around it. But it was just such a busy year and it was just challenging to keep up, but also challenging because we had made a decision and we were very conscious to like sometimes people hear information, and this is a silly thing, especially in the beauty industry and in my profession that I do hair and I'm behind the chair still. People hear that things are happening with you, and instead of women thinking like, let me come get my hair done or let me come do the service, they think like, I heard so and so was not doing well. She needs to be home with her husband. I'm not going to make an appointment with her. That is how women think. They think like, she needs to be home with her husband and kids. So I'm not going to make an appointment. So then what happened? And because I would tell my friend this when we get pregnant, I'd be like, don't be telling everybody how pregnant you are, and don't act like you're so tired. I said, because as soon as you start acting like you're so tired when you're pregnant, people will stop making appointments because they were like, she's tired. She's 6 months pregnant. I'm not gonna make an appointment. I'm not gonna text her. Because if I text her, she needs to rest. So then what happens is you'll see your books like get slower and slower and slower. You're like, and it's at the moment where you're like, I should need you to get the highest paying service.
Please do.
Please keep all your appointments. But women will think conversely, I am helping you by coming off of your books and giving you more time.
Dude to be like, is he in there? Okay, you in there. You decided your barber.
You showed up. I need my haircut.
Your barber if your barber's in the shop, be like, he in the shop. If he wanted to be off, he'd be off. If he wanted to be off, he'd be off. If he wanted to be off, he'd be off.
Think like that. They think they're helping you.
They go in and get their haircut. Be like, you straight, dog? I heard so. Yeah.
I've seen it happen. Good. And I caution hairstylists. I'm like, don't go reporting.
Don't give this away.
So bad,
save this for your podcast. How to handle being pregnant.
Yeah, or just
give them the secret tip.
Or just anything. But in that instance, I'm saying the challenge in that and all of 2022 was all of this was happening. I'm tired. I have 5 children to manage. I'm trying to keep everything kind of off of you.
Husband.
And
you can't keep it off of me because I remember there were times you had to be in the salon, I'd have to be at home,
and I'm trying to and I'm just like putting it on my back and trying to make sure everything is okay.
The 2-year-old and the 1-year-old, or almost 1-year-old at home, and I remember I had to. What happened was, I think they were downstairs and we were going upstairs for something. I think we were going upstairs for nap time. They had fallen asleep. I don't know why I did this. But I think I ended up carrying them upstairs for nap time.
Oh.
And putting them in their bed. And I remember I carried, see, this is what I got.
This is my point. This is why I say you be on some foolish stuff. I can already tell. I already know. Because you try to carry them both upstairs.
I carried them both upstairs at the same time.
And you're like, I almost passed out.
I didn't almost pass out,
I got to the top of the stairs.
But my heart was beating so fast. So I got them both laid in their beds. And then I couldn't even make it back downstairs. I stumbled over to like a recliner in the loft, and I just reclined it and laid back, and I was just cooked.
In this moment, does it seem like foolishness to you? Because it seems like foolishness to me. Like if you know,
I'm trying to remember
like you've been in the hospital with all of these things. It's something that you would do all the time. It's kind of the person that you are. But I'm saying, like, if you knew that all of this had occurred, like, why not make Emmy walk, or why not?
I think they were both asleep.
Okay, well then lay them down on the couch downstairs.
And I don't know why I just didn't do that. I think I wanted them to lay down because they lay down longer. But I don't know why.
Some of the things that I often wonder, like, now why would you do this thing that you already know that?
Pray for God's wisdom to follow me, just Lord.
And this is why I pray and I speak with my angels all the time. Can we pause for just a second? Is that a thing?
I don't think so. I think we'll take this. I think this is actually a stop button.
Okay, let's see.